Welcome everybody. I am Chiara Canori, a PhD student at the University of Parma in Italy, and I'm glad to present my poster about audience effect on domestic dogs' behavioral displays and facial expression. First of all, what do we mean by display? Displays are behavioral patterns that function as communicative signals and can originate also from facial expressions and displacement behavior. In domestic dogs, several displacement behavior and facial expressions have been defined as indicators of negative affective states, but also suggested to have a communicative intent, namely to function as appeasement signals in dog-dog and dog-human interactions. Our study aimed to assess whether dogs' displacement behavior and facial expressions are linked to a negative state of arousal, so of frustration, compared to a positive anticipation one, and whether they are dependent to the presence of an audience, an attentive human experimenter. And what did we do? We built a wooden wall-like apparatus characterized by an openable window at its center. The opening of the window was composed by two panels, a white one and a transparent plexiglass, which could be moved by an invisible experimenter behind the wooden wall. The basic setup of the positive anticipation condition involves a dog seeing a piece of food placed on a table behind a plexiglass screen. After waiting a few seconds, the screen is removed, allowing the dog to assess the reward. However, in the frustration condition, the food is removed and dogs cannot obtain it. In the current modified version, we altered the conditions, varying also the visibility of the audience, a human experimenter. Thus, we exposed 49 dogs to three different test conditions: positive anticipation, frustration non-social, frustration social, which was characterized by the presence of an audience. To control the influence of the HPA axis activation that could vary between the conditions, we also collected salivary cortisol before and after each test. So, to recap you briefly, when a dog entered in the experimental room, the first thing we did was collected a pre-test cortisol sample. Then, the habituation phase was started. After the habituation, the real test began, which could have been one of the three illustrated above. After the test, there was a 15-minute of a waiting period, and then another salivary sample was collected. Each test was recorded by three different cameras synchronized with OBS software. The videos were then coded using Solomon Coder. Two hedograms were redacted, one according to dog facts, an anatomically based system for the scientific measurement of facial movements, which included action units and action descriptors. The second one was about displacement behavior and general behavior, like postures or vocalization. Physiological measures were taken thanks to saliva swabs, and a cortisol enzyme immunoassay was used to analyze cortisol levels. But what have we found? The ears action descriptor, ears forward, a behavior associated with attention and interest, occurred more in the positive anticipation compared to the non-social frustration condition and was negatively associated with pre-test cortisol concentrations. The behavior of looking away, a sign of discomfort, was more common in the non-social frustration compared to the positive anticipation condition and was positively associated with pre-test cortisol concentrations. The relationship between post-test cortisol concentration and the variable sniffing the environment is also interesting. It may suggest that dogs perceiving the test situation as stressful enacted this displacement behavior, potentially as a coping strategy to entertain or distract themselves during the test. Comparing the two frustration conditions, a clear audience effect emerged, with dogs showing significantly more ears forward, ears flattener, blinking, nose licking, whining and tail wagging when food was withdrawn with a visible person than without the person being visible. This suggests that these behaviors are not just an expression of frustration, but rather they could have a communicative function related to the social context. However, cortisol levels did not differ between conditions, suggesting that the social condition was not strongly associated with a strong increase in negative arousal. The aim of further research should be to clarify the function of this display, whether they are sensitive to intra- and interspecific contexts and the feedbacks they elicit in their potential receiver. So, here's my references. Thank you for your precious attention and don't forget to check out our publication. Thank you.